something happening here.
This land is your land. If it takes them to tear the fascists down, down, down.
There is power in our union. You fascists, goodbye.
Welcome to TNZ Talk with radio veteran Tony Trupiano and Huffington Post blogger and writer at Liberals Unite, Richard Zombeck, where they do lean left, but always talk straight.
And welcome one and all to this Monday, August 1st, 2016 edition of T&Z Talk. August 1st, sweet Jesus, where the hell is this summer going? Wow. All right, anyway, I am the T in T&Z, Tony Trupiano. Joining me now is the Z in T&Z, Richard Zombeck, the professor himself. And Professor, where the hell is summer going?
Happy August, Tony Trupiano.
Wow. August 1st. August 1st.
Yeah, it goes by faster when you're older.
Apparently it does. And I don't know if...
So it must be flying by for you.
Yeah, all right. Here's the amazing thing for me is that we've actually had summer this year. I mean, it's been hotter than bejesus out there.
Yeah, a couple weeks. It's actually, I mean, my area of the country, it actually hasn't been. There were a couple of days where it was in the upper 90s and stuff, and I've been trying to ride my bike every day because I don't want to be a fat bastard for the rest of my life. And actually, I'm not. I got a little belly. I'm not, you know, like morbidly obese by any means.
But you wear it well.
I've been trying to get on my bike and ride about 10, 12 miles a day. And there comes a point when, you know, you got to kind of decide, is this any good for my health? And when it's 95 degrees out and humid, it's not good for your health.
Well, then
So
you would have stayed off.
I've actually gotten older and wiser enough to kind of like actually take care of myself and not push myself just because I said I was going to do something.
Well, if you lived here, you wouldn't have been on the bike very much. We've had a lot of 90-plus degree days, very humid. This week will be in the upper 80s to mid-90s all week and into the foreseeable future.
Yeah, I can do 80s.
I'm not going to complain about that, though, because I am not a winter person. Despise it. And now that is, the older I get, the more I hate winter. And if I could afford to go to a warmer climate in the winter months, and not necessarily a hot climate, just a warmer climate, I'd do it in a heartbeat, dude. But so I've made the best of this hot weather and just really haven't complained a whole lot about it. There have been a few days, a handful of days, 4 or 5 days, where I was just so freaking hot I didn't know where to turn. But, you know, I'll take that. I really will. Over winter. No question about it. They never cancel anything because it's too hot.
Yeah, and you can't bike ride in 40-degree weather. Well, you can, but I'm not going to.
Well, 40-degree weather, yes. 30-degree weather, 20-degree weather, absolutely not. And actually, when you get to 40 degrees, there is that thing called the wind chill that you have to be concerned about. So, anyway.
Yeah.
All right, so here we are, August 1st. The next month is, now once the Olympics start, the end of this week, I believe? And so there will be a little bit of a political time out, a little bit. The candidates will do rallies here and there, appearances here and there, but it'll be fairly quiet, and that'll give you and I a chance to catch our breath, talk about some other things. But as we open up this Monday program, sadly, Donald Trump once again is going to be in our focus, a bullseye on his back.
Yeah.
You know, here we go again, Z. This whole Donald Trump just being Donald Trump thing, I don't know much longer it's going to serve him, but it seems to be serving him a little too well, even when he's attacking a Gold Star family.
Yeah, let me just. I love doing this show. I enjoy it. I like the hour a day that you and I do this. And I was driving home. My wife and I were doing something earlier today. We were driving home, and she looked at me. She goes, "You all right?" I'm like, "Yeah, I got to do the show today, this afternoon." And she's like, "I thought you liked doing the show." I said, "I do, but it's just going to be another episode of what did that asshole do today?" And not you. But, and of course I had to mark that because I've got to bleep it later. And because of him, we're here again, talking about this moron. That I have endless conversations with my friends. In fact, one of them just posted here on Facebook. He said he's trying as hard as he can to get out of this, and still he has a voting base that has enough hatred, anger, and fear to stand behind him. And then another article in the New York Times laying it all out that 19% of the people in this country voted for Trump and Clinton in the primaries. 19% of the people in this country made this decision, meaning that, a little less than 10% made the decision to have Donald Trump as their candidate.
And I don't know how that stacks up against other primary years. I just don't have that data in front of me. But, it's interesting because Donald Trump loves to go out on the stump and say, I got more votes than any Republican ever got in a primary. Well, that is and that isn't true. And, of course, Donald Trump loves to stretch everything at its borders to the point where it usually breaks. But I find it astounding. You just quote that number. I find it astounding whether you're a Republican or a Democrat, and all of the noise there's been from both sides of the aisle, and let's even say the independents or the third-party people, and yet less than 1 in 5 people actually voted. But man, I'm telling you, more than 1 in 5 people's bitching right now.
Oh, well, yeah, because they can't believe what happened and they weren't part of the process. I mean, I have another friend who's staunch Republican and thinks that Trump would be a great addition to this country and to democracy. And I don't think he's voted for the last 20 years. And I'm not even exaggerating. So, I don't get it. You don't go out and vote. You have lost the right to bitch and moan.
Well, yes, we say that all the time, but the reality is people still do it. So
people still don't do it.
Still don't do it. And so here we are. Now tomorrow in Michigan is a primary election day where we will whittle down fields to a candidate on either side. Third parties won't be a factor tomorrow throughout the state of Michigan. There are a couple other referendums on the ballot. I don't anticipate any radical surprises. Of course, it's just a reminder for me that 2 years ago I got my clock clean running for the state house when I was supposedly the dead-on favorite to win. But I've let it go. Really, I'm not bitter. And actually I am, because I look at the endorsements my former opponent got this year, and they were all mine, damn it. But I'll let that go. With that said, Z, let's turn our attention back to Donald Trump. Very quickly, I was out driving today, in fact, coming back to do the show, and there was this car zigzagging in and out of traffic, and that drives me nuts. It creates a little road rage inside of me. Guess what the 2 bumper stickers on the back of his car were?
Oh, please.
Trump. Trump. Anyway.
Well, and Mike Pence doesn't seem to be much better at this stuff, particularly with everything that's gone on with the Khan family.
Well, you mentioned on Friday, and it actually became a little bit of a Twitter phenomenon after the show. I was looking at it Friday night, Saturday. Pence saying that, there's no room for name calling in politics. And then Donald Trump was at the same time name calling on Twitter.
Yeah. Well, and Donald Trump also said that Khizr Khan has no right to attack him in public, even though that's protected by his First Amendment rights, and then went on to attack Mr. Khan.
Well, let me read Mike Pence's statement.
Second paragraph is just the best. So make sure you read that one.
Donald Trump and I believe that Captain Hamayun Khan is an American hero, and his family, like all Gold Star families, should be cherished by every American. I think, okay, and then it goes on to say, where's it at? Because they broke it up. Oh, by suspending immigration from countries that have been compromised by terrorism, rebuilding our military, defeating ISIS at its source, and projecting strength on the global stage, we will reduce the likelihood that other American families will face the enduring heartbreak of the Khan family.
Yeah, well, hold on, because there was a paragraph right before that. He says, Captain Khan gave his life to defend our country in a global war on terror. Due to the disastrous decisions of Barack Obama and Hillary Clinton, a once stable Middle East has now been overrun by ISIS. This must not stand. So, question number one, and I don't blame you if you can't answer this, but when did Humayun Khan die in Iraq?
I believe it was during the George Bush years.
Yeah, 2004. And Barack Obama was elected in 2008.
Yeah.
So this is a Republican issue. This kid went to war because of a war that was started by the Bush administration, died during the Bush administration, and these idiots don't even have the forethought to look that up just in case they're wrong. Because who cares?
All right, well, let me just read a couple more famous people that have been responding to this. Representative John Lewis, who you and I have a ton of respect for, tweeted this. I believe that Khizr and Ghazala Khan, I met them, and they are kind and wonderful people. We can learn from this family. Martin O'Malley, he didn't sing this, he wrote it actually. Then why are we supporting...
I was having a drink of water when you said that, by the way.
Then why are you supporting it real Donald Trump, ? This isn't courage, it's cowardice. John Kasich, there's only one way to talk about Gold Star parents, with honor and respect. Captain Khan is a hero. Together we should pray for his family. Jeb Bush, this is so incredibly disrespectful of a family that endured the ultimate sacrifice of our country. Now, I have to tell you that of those four, the two that were most liked and most retweeted were John Kasich and Jeb Bush. By a landslide.
Well, yeah.
By a landslide.
Probably by Democrats.
So, anyway, with that said, and certainly
McCain had some words too.
Yeah.
But then, of course, he said he was going to support him.
Well, that's the other part of this. Is at what point do serious Republicans start to distance themselves publicly from Donald Trump, or do they? And I don't think they will. John McCain said that Trump's criticism of the Khan family is unfettered license to defame, that he does not have an unfettered license to defame. Now, let's, for a moment, think if we were one of these families. And just for a moment, It's after the convention. She didn't speak. Now we know why. The original story was that her accent was so heavy that she wouldn't be understandable. Well, that was just internet rumor. The reality is this woman is so heartbroken, she has difficulty expressing herself. Who would blame her?
Yeah, and Trump also said that she wasn't allowed to because she's Muslim.
Well, that's where I was headed with this. And he didn't actually say that. What he said was maybe she wasn't allowed to speak. Of course, inferring what you just said. So we've got some audio.
Well, and before we go to that, she was on this morning on Morning Joe. I don't know if you saw her.
No.
And what she said, and this is what was amazing to me, because what she said was, in our family, the woman is responsible for the home, and the man is responsible to go out into the world and make money and bring it back to the home. But in the home, we are equal. I can speak my mind. I can say how I feel, and we are equal. Now, what I found interesting, because this is really, the Republicans should be happy to hear that a woman thinks that her job is to stay home and take care of the house, right? I mean, and I don't have anything against that if that's what your marriage is and you're both in agreement on that, which is what she stated that they are, that they have an agreement, they have an understanding, they have a life together, and they share that life, they share the responsibility, and they share their thoughts and feelings with each other in a way that, many married people don't. So, I'm watching these two people and her saying that this is, part of her culture, part of how their marriage is designed, part of how they're not told to do that. I mean, you know what I'm getting at. I just,
it's frustrating.
And we're going to watch these two people probably be defamed and insulted and threatened and have their lives turned more upside down than it already has been. Some idiot wrote in the Hill that they were conned, no pun intended, that they were conned by the Clinton campaign into becoming this icon of, Muslim military families. And I couldn't even believe that the Hill published something like that, first of all. And second of all, that anyone would have the stones to write something so disgusting.
Well, and Mr. Khan actually addressed that immediately. And he, at one point, they were invited to the convention. Let me just quickly go through the chronology. They were invited to the convention. They accepted the invitation. About 3 weeks before the convention, they were asked if they would like to give a statement. They said yes. Then they were asked if they needed any help writing it, and he said, Mr. Khan, as the he, said, no, I have it all in my head. That was his response. Now, this man is a Harvard-educated lawyer, Z. He's not a schlub. He's not one of the uneducated that Donald Trump would love. He is a Harvard-educated lawyer, a self-made man, right? So he turned down that help from the DNC or the Clinton campaign, and has made it clear that he is not stumping for Hillary Clinton, and he wasn't stumping for Hillary Clinton. They were there to honor his son and to thank her for doing what she did by showing up to his funeral, by saying what she said, and continuing to be supportive of the family. That's all he was doing. It was Donald Trump that has elevated this to the nastiness that it's become. And, I wrote that this was sinful the other day, and I got a lot of response to that. All right, so let's go to some audio. You can decide where you want to start.
Let's start with Trump's statement on Captain Khan.
Okay.
This speech, but there was a man named Kaiser Khan speaking at the Democratic Convention last night. His son, Captain Humayun Khan, was killed serving in Iraq, and he had some very tough questions for you.
Have you even read the United States Constitution? I will gladly lend you my copy. You have sacrificed nothing and no one.
He said you wouldn't have even let his son in America.
He doesn't know. He doesn't know that. I saw him. He was, very emotional and probably looked like a nice guy to me. His wife, if you look at his wife, she was standing there. She had nothing to say. Maybe she wasn't allowed to have anything to say. You tell me, but plenty of people have written that. She was extremely quiet. And it looked like she had nothing to say. A lot of people have said that. And personally, I watched him. I wish him the best of luck, George.
What would you say to that, Father?
Well, I'd say we've had a lot of problems with radical Islamic terrorism. That's what I'd say. We have a lot of problems where you look at San Bernardino, you look at Orlando, you look at the World Trade Center, you look at so many different things. You look at what happened to the priest over the weekend in Paris where his throat was cut, 85-year-old beloved Catholic priest. You look at what happened in Nice, France a couple of weeks ago. I'd say you got to take a look at that because something's going on and it's not good.
He said you have sacrificed nothing and no one.
Well, that sounds, who wrote that? Did Hillary's scriptwriters write it? Because everybody that went out there, we also had John Allen, who failed with ISIS. I mean, he was a general, General Allen. He went out and he's ranting and raving, and then I read a report. He was in there for a number of months, and he failed with ISIS. And he's telling me,
You saw Hillary say last night, you don't know more than the generals.
Hey, the generals aren't doing so well right now. Now, I have a feeling it may be Obama's fault, but if you look at ISIS, General MacArthur and General Patton, they're spinning in their graves. The generals certainly aren't doing very well right now. And General Allen, after I saw he was on ranting and raving about me, who we never met, I checked up. Guess what? They weren't so happy with him. He didn't beat ISIS. He didn't do even well with ISIS.
Why do they still even allow this idiot on TV at all? I mean,
Well, I've got to give George Stephanopoulos some credit, and I think we're gonna talk about the Ukraine a little later, but Donald Trump was dead wrong, and George Stephanopoulos said, "Dude, you just said he wouldn't invade the Ukraine. He's already done it."
Yeah. Yeah.
So at least George Snuffleupagus had the stones to stand up to him.
Snuffleupagus.
Yeah.
Stephanopoulos. I'm sorry. I just saw a tweet by this guy, Murtaza Hussein, and he's got a picture of Donald Trump and Chris Christie standing behind him, and he says, if you look at Chris Christie, he was just standing there. He had nothing to say. Maybe he wasn't allowed to.
Well, I gotta tell you that I posted. Donald Trump had said that Tim Kaine was a horrible governor in New Jersey, and I don't know if you saw that, but he actually said that.
Yeah.
And so I posted that, and it was the most retweeted thing I've ever done in my life. I don't know why that was so popular. And my only comment was, I wonder how Chris Christie feels about this. That's it. That's all I said. Yeah. And it got retweeted, I mean, a lot. It was huge, Z. It was huge. By the way, before we get to some of the con response to this, the ACLU gives out free copies of the pocketbook Constitution. They are being inundated right now with requests.
Yeah. Well, maybe people will actually effing read it.
Wouldn't that be something?
Yeah. Let's. I do want to play the clip of all the sacrifices that Donald
Oh,
Trump
yes, please, because this is precious.
has made. So George Stephanopoulos, during that interview, brought up the fact that Mr. Khan had said that you have sacrificed nothing and, more importantly, nobody since they lost their son. And Stephanopoulos asked him, what exactly have you sacrificed? So let's listen to Donald Trump's response, shall we?
How would you answer that, Father? What sacrifice have you made for your country?
I think I've made a lot of sacrifices. I work very, very hard. I've created thousands and thousands of jobs, tens of thousands of jobs, built great structures. I've had tremendous success. I think
those
I've
are
done a lot.
sacrifices?
Oh, sure, I think they're sacrifices. I think when I can employ thousands and thousands of people, take care of their education, take care of so many things, even in military. I mean, I was very responsible, along with a group of people, for getting the Vietnam Memorial built in downtown Manhattan, which to this day people thank me for. I raised, and I have raised, millions of dollars for the vets. I'm helping the vets a lot. I think my popularity with the vets is through the roof, far greater than hers. She's done nothing. All she's done is tell everybody that the vets are in good shape, they're fine, and they're not fine. People are waiting online for 7 days to see a doctor. She thinks it's fine.
100 days left. What's the number one thing you have to do?
I think...
Yeah.
Those are sacrifices. Huh?
The sacrifices he's made are listen. I ordered a Coke. I had to drink a Pepsi. I wanted clam chowder, but I was in Nebraska. I mean, my life has been hard, Tony.
Well, I have to tell you that beyond being offensive, beyond being sinful, 17 Gold Star families are now demanding an apology. The Khan family is not backing down. In fact, Mrs. Khan called Donald Trump ignorant. I don't know where this will go, but it's really interesting because Greg Sargent in the Washington Post today wrote a op-ed titled "The Khan fight highlights a huge GOP problem. No one knows how low Trump can go."
I think wasn't there the Gold Star families actually wrote a letter signed by the Gold Stars families,
yes.
Right? Let me just read a little bit of that. When you question a mother's pain by implying that her religion, not her grief, kept her from addressing an arena of people, you are attacking us. When you say your job building buildings is akin to our sacrifice, you are attacking our sacrifice.
Wow.
So, people are listening. These are families that were in parades. And the military and people at the parade saluted and took their hats off and paid attention to. And Donald Trump, whatever.
I just don't understand what he thinks he's going to accomplish by attacking this family. He obviously doesn't understand what a Gold Star family is. He really doesn't get it. And there was this... When this first happened, the word empathy was used, that he has no empathy. And Hillary Clinton and Tim Kaine, of course, continue, to drive home the reality that this man is not fit to be president.
Yeah, I want to read a statement from another one of our favorite Republicans, Senator Lindsey Graham.
Oh boy,
of South Carolina. Unacceptable doesn't even begin to describe it. This is going to a place where we've never gone before, to push back against the families of the fallen. There used to be some things that were sacred in American politics that you don't do, like criticize the parents of a fallen soldier, even if they criticize you.
Well, what do you say to that? I mean, McCain's statement. In recent days, Donald Trump disparaged a fallen soldier's parents. He has suggested that the likes of their son should not be allowed in the United States, to say nothing of entering its service. I cannot emphasize enough how deeply I disagree with Mr. Trump's statement. I hope Americans understand that the remarks do not represent the views of our Republican Party, its officers, or candidates. And yet he still won't pull his endorsement.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. And, Jim Wright, who's another writer I like, who was on Facebook talking about this, said, has no one told Johnny Walnuts that Donald Trump is the Republican Party's official nominee for president of the United States, and in point of fact does represent the Republican Party, its officers, its members, and all its candidates, of which he is chief among them by definition. Gee, John, if you're embarrassed by this a-hole's behavior, try to imagine how the rest of us feel. You'll note McCain still endorses Trump for president.
Yes. Imagine. It's just astounding.
Yeah, Trump is a symptom. The senators and representatives like John McCain are the disease. I'm sorry.
Well, no question that's true. We have more audio, and this time Mrs. Khan is responding to @real Donald Trump.
Yeah, and this was on Lawrence O'Donnell's show on MSNBC.
And Mrs. Khan, what was your last conversation with your son when he was in Iraq?
He called me on Mother's Day in May of 2004. And that's what I was telling him, don't go out of your camp, just stay in. And he had made lots of Muslim friends there, Iraqi. They used to come and work for them in the Bakuba camp. So he said, don't worry, Mom, I'm safe, I'm okay, I'm just taking care of my people, that's it. I'm not doing anything, I'm just taking care of them. So he really, whatever he was saying, taking care of them, he did. He took care of everyone that day.
And Mr. Khan, what was your last conversation with your son when he was in Iraq?
It was a telephone conversation, and I asked him that, look, you have completed your tour of duty. You have been honorable to your promise that you made to the military. Can we not get you back now? And he said, Baba, my sons call me Baba, and he said that, first, I have this commitment of my unit. I want to make sure that I complete that. Second, Army has a stop-loss policy that up until the tour of duty of the entire unit is complete, I will not be able to leave them here. So just pray that all goes well, and I will be careful, and I have to take care of my soldiers, and the rest will be fine. So I gave him my best wishes, and I told him to be strong and come back. And that was the last conversation I had.
I
got nothing.
She had at one point said to her son, "Don't be a hero. Come back to me." And of course, he was a hero, an amazing hero. It's just so sad, Z. It's just so very sad. Well, Donald Trump did have one defender, one asinine defender, Senator Jeff Sessions. And again, I hate the overgeneralization that the South is racist. But sweet God. All right, so...
Or stupid.
So Jeff Sessions would probably fit in both categories, but this time we're going to showcase, in a very short piece of audio, the stupidity of one Senator Jeff Sessions.
Well, and the thing is, too, is that they, I hate it, too, because I know a lot of people in the South, and I know a lot of people who are very smart and who are well-educated and not racist. But the thing is when you have people like this or that idiot Louis Gohmert making comments in public, it's hard. It's really hard not to put those labels on, the South will rise again. Here's Jeff Sessions.
I reject that, and I'm disappointed that he would say that. Donald Trump complimented him. He praised his son who gave his life for this country. Mr. Khan's son served in the military. He did his duty, and he gave his life for America, and that deserves to be celebrated, absolutely. But I don't think anybody that says that we ought to slow down and be more careful about bringing in immigrants from countries that have terrorist tendencies and can't be vetted properly. I don't believe that that's a person that lacks a soul. In fact, millions of Americans, a majority of Americans favor that kind of policy with regard to immigration from countries that have histories of terrorism.
Yeah, see, maybe somebody should let the senator know and Donald Trump know we already have a policy that we take that takes at least 18 months to be vetted before you can come into this country.
We do?
Yes, we do. And furthermore, if you come here, you have to have a job waiting for you, and you have to repay the airfare it takes to get here.
Imagine that.
Imagine that. Well, anyway. Let's go on to more Trump lies. And this one is special because, we'll play the game, does he or doesn't he? Does he know? Well, we could actually do this with Michael Bloomberg as well, but we'll save that for tomorrow. Does he know Vladimir Putin or doesn't he? That is the real question.
Okay. Play the clip? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah, all right.
What exactly is your relationship with Vladimir Putin?
I have no relationship with Putin. I have no relationship with Putin.
But if you have no relationship with Putin, then why did you say in 2013, I do have a relationship? In 2014, I spoke...
Because he has said nice things about me over the years. I remember years ago, he said something, many years ago, he said something very nice about me. I said something good about him when Larry King was on. This is a long time ago. And I said, he is a tough cookie, or something to that effect. He said something nice about me. This has been going on. We did 60 Minutes together. By the way, not together, meaning he was probably shot in Moscow.
Well, he was in Moscow, you were in New York. But that's the thing.
No, just so you understand. He said very nice things about me, but I have no relationship with him.
Yet you said for 3 years, 13, 14, and 15, that you did have a relationship with him.
No, look, what do you call a relationship? I mean, he treats me with great respect. I have no relationship with Putin. I don't think I've ever met him. I never met him. I don't think I've ever met him.
You would know it if you did,
I think so. Yeah, I think so. So I don't think I've ever met him. I mean, if he's in the same room or something, but I don't think so.
Never spoken to him on the phone?
I've been in Moscow. I didn't meet him in Moscow. Where?
Never spoken to him on the phone?
I have never spoken to him on the phone, no. I've spoken when we had the Miss Universe contest a number of years ago. We had Miss Universe in Moscow, in the Moscow area. He was invited. He wanted to come. He wasn't able to come. That would have been a time when I would have met him.
But I just want to clear this up, because you did say on 3 different occasions you had a relationship with him. Now you say there is none.
Well, I don't know what it means by having a relationship. I mean, he was saying very good things about me, but I don't have a relationship with him. I didn't meet him. I haven't spent time with him. I didn't have dinner with him. I didn't go hiking with him. I don't know. I wouldn't know him from Adam, except I see his picture and I would know what he looks like.
So let's try something, Tony.
Okay.
I'm going to make a statement. I a couple of years ago was in Moscow, met Putin, was French kissing him in front of the Kremlin. He and I had dinner together, and then we went home, and he took advantage of me the way, you just read about. Now, ask me if I know Putin.
Do you know Vladimir Putin?
Nope. Never met him.
But there is documented evidence that you were French kissing him in front of the Kremlin, and that there was a news report that he made passionate, difficult love to you that you enjoyed.
That wasn't me.
But what a...
And by the way, Hillary Clinton has done nothing about ISIS. And I'm going to build a wall. A wall, Tony. I'm going to build a wall.
Well, who's going to pay for that wall?
A giant wall that Mexico will pay for.
Okay, well, thanks for the interview.
That was pretty good, huh?
It feels that way, doesn't it? I mean,
that little tiny clip. We should send that to CNN or maybe Fox News. Maybe we'll get we'll get a contract.
Well, let's not forget that when they were on 60 Minutes together, they were in the green room, which now was not true because they were actually both in Moscow at the time, but not in the same place. Oh, sweet God.
Yeah. And it doesn't really matter that any of this has been recorded, filmed, is out there. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It's like, what about these pictures I have of you with Vladimir Putin French kissing? Well, that was a different time, but that doesn't mean I know him.
Right.
I mean, you know.
I know his tongue. I'd know his tongue if I saw it. But I don't know him. I mean, it was dark out. It was raining. It was Moscow, for God's sake.
Yeah, exactly. There were KGB agents all over the place. I was nervous.
Now, since we're beating up on Donald Trump, let me ask you,
with my tiny little hands.
He does have tiny little hands.
Well, he says he's going to take the gloves off, so we'll finally see.
Well, and anyway, we're going to get to the Simpsons.
Take off his tiny,
we're going to get to the Simpsons clip
gloves
in just a moment, but let's go with his tax returns for a moment. It is becoming a larger issue, as it should. And George Will opined on perhaps why he has not released his taxes. And by the way, we know for a fact that there were periods in the 70s, 80s, and 90s, 5-year periods, in fact, that he paid zero in taxes. Anyway, George Will has his own theory, so let's listen to that.
Yeah, this was on Fox, actually, on with Brett Baer.
I mean, both the campaign chair and anybody you talk to, including Senator Murphy, would not go down that road once pressed on the connection between Russia and the Trump campaign. But they've thrown it out there, George.
Well, it's the sort of thing we might learn if we saw the candidate's tax returns. And that's perhaps one more reason why we're not seeing his tax returns, because he is deeply involved in dealing with Russian oligarchs and others. Whether it's good, bad, or indifferent, it's probably a reasonable surmise.
A reasonable surmise. You know, let's also ask the question about Trump's campaign chairman, Paul Manafort, who does have deep ties to Vladimir Putin.
Deep ties. And to Russian oligarchs.
Right.
And I mean, Russian oligarchs is really a nice name for them. I mean, they're really just, very wealthy gangsters.
Well, welcome to the new America with a K in it. All right, enough for Donald Trump. Well, no, one more.
America.
The Simpsons.
America.
The Simpsons.
America.
The Simpsons decided that they were going to take a little stab at Donald Trump, and listen to the end because there's something to be had there.
I can't make love till I've decided who to vote for.
Yep, it's the American way.
It's 3 a.m. and the phone's ringing in the White House. Who do you want to answer that call? Hillary Clinton?
Hello? The Situation Room? I'll be right there. It's for you.
Yes, from now on, it's always for me.
Or Donald Trump?
Not now, I'm on Twitter. And Elizabeth Warren tweets too damn much. Glad I exiled her. Send. Oh, and put my name on the Lincoln Memorial. Make Chris Christie eat a worm just for laughs. Disband NATO and make me some scrambled eggs in a gold plate. What? Fine, I'll be right there. We're too late. The Chinese fleet is advancing. Just build another wall. Yes, in the ocean, loser.
Paid for by Americans who are really starting to miss Obama.
Finally, my mind's made up, and so is yours, right?
Absolutely. I'm voting for Trump, right?
If that's your vote, I question whether I can ever be with you again.
And that's how I became a Democrat.
Now, that noise you hear in the middle, all that machine noise, is they're putting on his spray tan and his hair and larger hands. It was really very clever. So I enjoyed that a great deal. All right, wait a minute. One more before we let go of Trump. Seth Meyers. I don't want to walk away from that one either.
Okay.
That's right. Clinton donors have put out a bounty on Donald Trump's tax returns because they may show ties to Russia. But I don't think that's why Trump won't release his tax returns. Here's what I think. Trump, I think you're not releasing your taxes because you don't have any money. I think you're broke. I don't even think you have an accountant. I think you use TurboTax. You're not running for president because you want the power or you want to make America great. I think you need the $400,000 a year salary. And I think if you do win, your first question will be, do I get that in a lump sum or is it installments? And your second question will be, is the food free? I think when you get on your Trump plane, you have to fly coach because you sold the first class seats to cover the gas. I think you do talk to Putin, but only to say, I'll get you the money, I swear. Just give me until November. Hey, maybe I'm wrong. And all you have to do to prove I'm wrong is release your taxes. But until you do, I'm going to think you take off in a helicopter, but then land 100 feet away and get in a 1994 Nissan Sentra. I don't think you decided to run to help the Trump brand. I think you decided to run because Melania said, you need to get a job, pal. Maybe I'm wrong, but that's what I think.
Yeah, I don't think he's too wrong.
I think he's actually got more of a point than George will.
You're right, he does. Let me ask you a question. Mark Cuban, a multi-billionaire, and there have been different points in my life where I've liked the guy and never loved him and despised him. So that pendulum swings more to the middle than to the other side. But it wasn't that long ago that we played some audio where he was not pro-Trump, but certainly open to Trump. Not so true anymore.
Not so true at all. In fact, I'm wondering about this clip because the word that he uses in this clip is kind of colloquial. It's not used everywhere in the country. It's kind of like an East Coast term. But the thing is, if other people in parts of the country have never heard the term and we beep it, they're not going to know what it. I don't think we need to beep it. Do you?
No, not at all.
Do you think it's an obscenity?
No.
Okay. All right. So it's really the seven words you can't say on TV, according to George Carlin, that we have to beep.
Correct.
Okay.
I think we're good. Let's go for it.
All right. Mark Cuban.
But I can tell you, as an entrepreneur, as an investor, with absolute certainty, that companies and jobs, they won't be created by terrifying people. No, Donald Trump. They'll be created by inspiring people like Hillary Clinton does. Leadership is not yelling and screaming and intimidating. Right? Yeah, she knows. And she knows, you know what we call a person like that? You know, the screamers, the yellers, the people who try to intimidate you. You know what we call a person like that in Pittsburgh? A jagoff. Is there any bigger jagoff in the world than Donald Trump?
So fair enough. I mean,
I don't think there is.
And Mark Cuban, by the way, is a Philadelphian, so that's why he was there. It's his hometown. Ergo the reference, and he said, where I come from, he's a jagoff, and he is a jagoff.
There was actually, and I'm not laughing at that. I'm laughing at Mark Cuban. But there was a panel on the news today. One woman was British but Muslim, and saying that the kind of stuff that Donald Trump is talking about is the kind of stuff that you see Middle Eastern dictators that they talk like that. So you can just imagine. I mean, the media finally is starting to pay attention to what's going on with the Donald. A little too late, but there we are.
I don't know that it's too late. Time will tell. In the time that we have left, I'd like to take a little bit of our time to talk about North Carolina as once again, and Governor McCrory once again in the spotlight. A couple months ago, it was for their transgender bathroom law. Now it's because an appeals court has decided that in a scathing judgment, decided that they have violated the rights of African Americans in North Carolina. And when I say scathing, words like the law struck like a surgical knife into the African American community. So Governor McCrory's answer to that is to appeal the decision. Now, what I find really entertaining about that is the Republicans are actually making our lives much easier because our lawmakers no longer create laws. So the Supreme Court has become the de facto lawmakers in this country. And every time every time a governor from a Republican state decides to take something to the Supreme Court, it in essence creates a new law of the land. Yeah. So let them do it. Let them do it.
Yeah.
With that said,
well, and I
go ahead.
I guess you want to get to the clip, but I want to add one more little bit of trivia. That the appeals court did strike down the North Carolina voter ID law and said that it was specifically designed to lower turnout among black voters. And there was an article in the New York Times that a town in Georgia is using its police department to challenge the right of its black residents to vote. From Raw Story, here's a quote. Specifically, the Times reports that the Hancock County Board of Elections and Registration has been systematically questioning the registrations of more than 180 black residents in Sparta, Georgia, by dispatching deputies with summonses commanding them to appear in person to prove their residence or lose their voting rights.
How
do you like that? How do you like that, Tony?
I don't. Well, recently in Texas, a voter ID law was demolished. In Wisconsin, same thing. In Michigan, similar situation. When will the Republicans figure out? Well, they never will. This is kind of like throwing crap up against the wall and just seeing what'll stick. And nothing's sticking right now. Anyway, John Oliver has his own take on this, and it's always quite entertaining. So let's play that, and then we'll wrap it up on the other side.
2016 election, or as you probably know it, America's shit salad extravaganza 2016. It was the Democratic National Convention this week, more on that later. But as of right now, polls suggest that this race is extremely tight. Even tighter than the perfectly normal grip that this father has on the hips of his own adult daughter. There is no doubt the stakes of this election are incredibly high, which is why what happened this week is so important.
On Friday, just over 100 days...
Yes, a Triple Crown victory. And now, as per Triple Crown tradition, democracy will be drained of its seed and promptly shot. Yes, a string of voting restrictions was struck down this week in Wisconsin, Texas, and most notably North Carolina, birthplace of Charlie Rose, Vince McMahon, Gallagher, and Fred Durst, or as I like to call them, the real Mount Rushmore. All three states were criticised for enacting laws with a racially discriminatory effect, but the Fourth Circuit had particularly strong language for North Carolina.
The court called it the most restrictive voting law North Carolina has seen since the era of Jim Crow, saying the law's provisions target African Americans with almost surgical precision.
Wow. Targeting African Americans with almost surgical precision. That is not a phrase you ever want to hear outside of a marketing meeting for Dark and Lovely Healthy Gloss Shea Butter Relaxer. I think it's okay for me to tell that joke. I'm pretty sure that joke is fine. I'm about 80% confident we have no problem there. The point is, when you hear what North Carolina's voter ID law contained, it is hard to disagree with that court.
The law required voters to show certain photo IDs that white voters were more likely to possess and eliminated other voter access tools like same-day registration and a full week of early voting. Scaling back early voting effectively eliminated one.
It's true, they limited Souls to the Polls, which is not to be confused with my charity foundation, Souls to the Polls, which sends shoes to Polish people, despite the fact they haven't asked for them, don't need them, and have repeatedly asked me to stop. Now, to be fair, at the time, politicians in North Carolina were insistent that this bill was passed for good reasons.
Republican State Representative David Lewis chaired the Elections Committee when that bill passed. He says it makes the voting process fairer.
Even if you want to attest.
That is an amazing pushback. Oh, I'm happy to let you say we did this to disenfranchise Democrats, but not black people. Please paint me as the correct kind of asshole. Please do me that good. Good day, sir. I said good day. Unfortunately, as the court pointed out, race clearly was a factor, given that before the law passed, legislators specifically requested data on voting practices by race. And then, upon receipt of the race data, the General Assembly enacted legislation that restricted voting and registration in 5 different ways, all of which disproportionately affected African Americans. And just think about that. They didn't just go with their gut and think it would be discriminatory. They got the spreadsheets, crunched the numbers, and they knew it would be. I don't know how you did it, North Carolina, but I think you officially moneyballed racism. Forget first in flight. Your new state motto should be North Carolina, ignorance at its smartest.
Gotta love John Oliver.
And I do. I do love John Oliver, and he is one smart cookie. All right. Before we go today...
That was like an amazingly fast hour.
Yeah, it really was an amazingly fast hour. Before we go today, I really want to just stress to people that you have to get outside your comfort zone and talk to people about Donald Trump, about how dangerous he is. For those of you that find it difficult to embrace Hillary Clinton, I understand that. I do. But the alternative is beyond unpalatable. It's unthinkable. Unthinkable. And we need to be very careful. Number 2, just very quickly. If you're thinking that third party is your protest, you're going to punish the country, not a candidate. With that said, Z, I'll let you wrap it up and give us the 411.
The 411 on TNZ Talk. Go to tnztalk.com, find us, friend us, follow us, everything you need to know about us. Please click on support, find out how to support us. We do need to keep this going, and we can't without your help and your donations and your support. There's a link to our Patreon page right there. and you can click on that, head over, whatever you can afford, $5, $10, $20, $100 a month, whatever, to help keep us going, would of course be greatly appreciated. And it does come with tchotchkes, mugs, cups, T-shirts, whatever, depending on the donation that you decide on.
We'll have better attitudes as well.
Yeah, could be.
Okay.
No promises.
Yeah, we're gonna get there. We're gonna get there. All right, that'll do it for us for today. Hope everybody enjoyed the show. In the meantime, I'm Tony Trupiano for Richard Zombeck, and as always, we ask that you be well.
Oh yeah, can you feel it? Just over the credits, just riffing now. Words and chords. Not the poetry and the real thing, but not bad for an ad-lib. Not good, but... And it's not long enough, so just do a little bit more. And that's nearly done. That's the final credit there. That's the end.